Thank you for joining us today on this panel. I am Brenda Berger, most known formerly the CEO of HANKY PANKY. And I have had the incredible privilege for over 15 years of working alongside female founders. So I have learned from them what it takes to build a brand that has longevity. And it certainly takes vision, it takes grit, and it takes a lot of courage to do things differently. And so I'm excited today to be here with our panelists who are creating and developing the next generation of intimates, proving that this industry continues to be shaped by bold, visionary women. So the unifying thread across all these three brands: comfort, innovation, and women designing for women. So I'm going to introduce them briefly. You'll learn more about them as we go through today's discussion, starting with Noah. And Noah and Dr. Shaula, who is also her mother and co-founder, unfortunately not able to join us today, are the founders of Bloomers. Bloomers was born from mother-daughter conversations about why beautiful, well-fitting underwear for real women's bodies is so hard to find. Noah leads the brand as CEO, modernizing what we used to call granny panties into something stylish and unapologetically comfortable. And then we have Holly Zhang from DIDI. When nerve damage from an injury left Holly searching for underwear that wouldn't cause pain, she did what engineers do, and she solved the problem herself. She is the last person to even imagine that she'd be on this stage today as an entrepreneur in intimates. So after years of deconstructing and reimagining underwear design, she created a solution that is changing comfort for women with nerve issues, pelvic floor challenges, and everyday discomfort. And then we have Jen from HUUG. And Jen has over 25 years of experience designing for major brands. Jen has heard thousands of women complain about uncomfortable bras, so she created HUUG, the world's only dryer-safe bra, tested and approved not only by customers, but by her 3 teenage daughters. So I think you're really going to enjoy the conversation that we're going to have today. So we're going to start first by discussing what was the problem and then the leap. So first, Noah, what problem were you trying to solve? What was the frustration that made you say, I have to create this?
So my mom and I were folding laundry together during COVID times, and she picked up a pair of underwear, and it was lacy and high-waisted, and she said, they don't make these anymore. Also, they don't really fit me anymore, and I need them to be adjusted a little bit. And at the time, I was like, ugh, I don't want to hear about your underwear. But we went on the hunt, looking on the internet, trying to find high-waisted, sexy, comfortable underwear that didn't show panty lines. And we couldn't really find anything. So next up, we surveyed 100 of our closest family and friends, and we saw there was a real need and a gap in the marketplace.
Great, thank you. Holly, how about you?
So, excuse me. So after I was injured, I ended up with nerve damage that made all the underwear I tried extremely painful. Not just irritating, really painful. And while visiting physical therapists, I learned that I was not alone in the problem. And so I did spend months and months in my basement with my sewing machine and different fabrics and different elastics and laces, trying to figure out a solution that would work for me. And after doing that, I brought in about 60 or 70 pairs to my PT office and offered them to other women. And they took them readily. Everybody was hungry for a solution. And that really is what made me understand that I needed to start a brand.
Jen, you're in a bit of a different position because you have been in this industry for 25 years. So you know the players, you know the bras. What made you decide to co-create HUUG? How did you get that started?
So it's kind of interesting, and it's interesting that we're here today at Interfiliere because I met my partners through Curve. They were actually a performance menswear brand called Twillery. They've been around for several years, and they had been constantly asked, like, we should do women's. And what they invented for their brand was a washable shoulder pad because they do performance men's suits that can be put in a washer and dryer so they travel really well. And they had tried to do different ways of using foam for their shoulder pads, but they found that after wash and dry, they would kind of become mangled and whatnot. So they're like, maybe we should go into bras. Is there a place we could meet a lot of people in the industry? Let's go to Curve and Interfiliere. They happened to be at a booth, one of the last booths, and they
Is this a plug for the show? I'm confused. What's happening?
It's right here. A lovely gentleman that I have known in this industry for a very long time. They had said, we know we want to go into bras, but we don't know anything about bras. Do you know somebody that might be interested in doing this? And he introduced us, and the rest is kind of history. But what we did was they started talking about like what's innovative in bras. And so they we know we don't want to use foam. So that's when we started really digging in deep and innovating, because I knew as a bra designer what a lot of the pain points were with so many women in the industry, and also just friends, my daughters, like she said, I have 3 teenage daughters, and it was just comfort. You can't tell a woman what she needs. You have to, you have to listen to what she wants. And comfort is key, non-removable pads, washability. I know I do laundry 20 times a day, it feels like, and being able to just throw your bras in the washer and dryer was really important. And that's how we kind of came up with HUUG. So.
And just for our audience, what's the issue with foam? Why did they say we don't want to use foam?
So we didn't want to use foam because we know that the washability and the dryability is a challenge when you use foam and wires and all of the hardware. So we kind of just deconstructed the bra that we were working on and said, like, what kind of materials could we use that we could put them in the washing machine? What kind of materials do we not use that we can put them in the dryer? And that's where the innovation started.
Okay, do we have manufacturers or suppliers in the audience? Anyone? Have some hands? Okay, good. Good to know. All right, because we're going to talk about working with manufacturers as a new brand. All right, so Noah, when you first started, you had no track record working with suppliers. So how did you approach manufacturers? What was the first conversation like?
So not only did I not have any track record in working with suppliers, but I had no fashion design track record. Neither did my mother. She worked in software. It was also COVID, so we didn't have these kind of trade shows where you can find manufacturers and suppliers. So it was really a lot. I happened to order some fabric scraps, found the name of a manufacturer. We hounded them, tried to get in the door. They did not have any interest in talking to us. And
Are they here today in the audience?
one of them.
Have to answer.
Fast forward a few years and, everybody's hugging and happy. But it really took a lot of persistence. If it wasn't for my mother's never take no for an answer attitude, we wouldn't be here today. In fact, when we reached out to the lace manufacturer multiple times, we're like, fine, if you're not going to give us fabric, at least give us a designer to work with. You must know people. And they did. And then that designer, also here today, helped get us in the door. So just never take no for an answer, ever.
Amazing. Now, Holly, you're in a bit of a different situation. So tell us how you went about it.
So I also have no fashion background, and I sent out countless cold emails to, to different manufacturers, and I didn't get a response from most of them. So I kept going until I found someone who also did the pattern making and the samples, and they did the whole process, but they were on the other side of the world. They were in Indonesia.
How did you find them?
Oh, online, Google. I just kept searching until someone answered me. So I tried that. It actually didn't work out great. They did a lot of swimwear. They kept trying to turn my underwear into swimsuits. So I also found it challenging being 12 hours apart, because I would have to take business meetings, in the middle of the night for me. So that didn't work out. They had no understanding of what I was trying to do. with the non-binding edges that I need for women with sensitive skin or sensitive nerves. So they actually had their lawyer get involved, and they had to record me, and they were going to make me sign something because they were worried that customers would go back to them saying there was a problem, that these were just not made right. So I ended up not working with them, moved on to someone else. I did at that point have some patterns, but they also didn't work out. So I just kept going.
So how long for both of you? I'd like to
Yes.
know this beginning of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got
Yes.
an idea, to first product launch. What are we talking about, time
So
frame?
I would say 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
Noah?
So we started with our idea in August of 2020, and we launched with the minimum viable product, not our current fabric, in September of 2021. And then December of 2021, the manufacturer who finally said yes, we launched with their fabric.
Okay, so 18 to 24 months,
Exactly.
3 to 4 years. Okay. So Jen, you're in a bit of a different situation. I'm sure most of the suppliers and manufacturers know you. So maybe tell us what it was like to be involved in a new project and some of the conversations and lessons for this audience that might be helpful.
So I've definitely been part of launches. I've been part of, new developments from brands, and I find this industry to be so helpful. I think it's unique that our industry, there's so many people that have been doing this for 25 years. There's, a lot of other industries. Like, I did menswear for this brand. I did, women's wear for this brand, but I think we're all kind of in it together. There's room for everybody. And actually for our industry, I think the more brands that come out really strengthen our industry and add freshness to it. So I just started making phone calls. I just started, texting, calling, asking for advice. Who would want to work with a small brand, who would want to do MOQs and MCQs. But I also know from my experience, you kind of have to give and take a little bit. So there's going to be opportunities where you say, listen, I can't order a lot of this material. So maybe, you can suggest the material that I use. So vendor would source it instead of myself. So I think that's kind of how I took it, was like, where do I need to start? We had a very strict deadline that we wanted to launch within a year to get it out into the market, to test it. And we did make that date by just really pushing and pushing. And we had amazing suppliers and support from everyone.
Do you think sometimes new designers or new founders or entrepreneurs take too long or overthink the details that need to go to get a product launched?
I think when you're very passionate, plus you're very close to the product, you could spend a lot of time on areas that might not, and this is in marketing as well, but the customer might not know the difference. So it's better to get the product out there, because if you're focusing on one little piece of the garment and then you get it out in the market and the customers find that there's another area that you probably should have focused on, you lost a lot of time and traction. So I do think that speed to market is really important. And then if, an innovative product, really focus on the innovation and dig in deep into your innovation and your story. And that's kind of where we went with our brand.
And get it out there and then see what the customers have to say. All right. So Holly, is there anything that you wish factories understood for new entrepreneurs launching a product that would have made it perhaps easier for you to get the product out to market sooner?
Yeah, I think what would have been easier is if they were more willing to work with a new design and a new concept, instead of trying to fit it into what they've been making for the past 25 to 30 years. So that was the challenge. And since I had no fashion or design background to say, listen, I know what I'm doing, they kept trying to kind of slide me over to their way of doing things, because that's been what worked for them. So
did you have to walk away from a few
Yes, I walked
factories
away
to
from
find the?
Yeah.
You did, yeah. And how did you know? Because you knew.
Well, the
what,
first one, it was very obvious. They just kept going towards swimwear. And the second one, they just put me on a back burner and took 9 months to give me something. And they also would not listen to me about sizing. So I said, my sample size is a medium. And they said, oh, no, it's a small. So, and I said, but no, I've tested on 40 different women and this is a medium. So those have been donated to charity.
Partnership, collaborating on fabric or
Yes.
potential other things that you need to do, but not on the core concept of what you are bringing to market.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Noah, anything you want to say about the supply chain, how it helped you or slowed you down?
So there's a few things, especially when you're first starting out. The minimum order quantities and the minimum color quantities are cost prohibitive, especially if it's your first go to commit to 5,000 yards or 10,000 yards. But I do think that suppliers can sometimes be a little scrappier in terms of, like, maybe we created this grayish for this other brand and it didn't work out and it's been sitting in our warehouse for a year and you might want to try it. That and just working towards speed to market, being the first mover is always an advantage. I've had another thing, but
When it comes to
When
you.
it
But
comes
I
to
guess
me.
the idea that you never know what the next brand
Yeah.
is going to be or the next product. And so there has to be room within the factory to make space for
I
new
know.
designs. Go ahead.
no, I think it goes without saying, but our success is your success. And when we order more and we need it sooner, that's only good news. It's only good news. It means people want it and we can't keep up, and just keep creating the great products that you're creating and we'll do the same on our end.
So I want to touch briefly on patents in case we have anybody in the audience today that's thinking of designing or has an idea for a product. So Jen, do you want to talk to us a bit about your experience, the importance of how you approach it, how you think about it, and the why?
I think, first of all, you always have to focus on your innovation, but patents are very expensive. It's very expensive to focus on that. So if you have the funds, obviously, you should continue to work on your patent. If you don't have the funds, I feel that you can still get your product out there. And as long as your product is very innovative, there's a good chance someone's not even going to be able to do what you're doing, as long as you really focus on what you're doing and why, the utility of it as well.
Anything around why you might want to put TM on a product as you're in the process, obviously a register.
Right. We are definitely working on that as well. I think that helps your brand also for materials, at least. If you do put the trademark on it, you can continue to work with other suppliers and work with different fabrics and different innovation, and you own your trademark for those materials. So I think it is, but I don't think it should deter anyone who is starting their own brand, and I don't think I would wait to get any of that before you put it into market.
If I could just jump in on the trademark, I think it's important to know that you got to do it early on, because to file a trademark, you got to show that it's in use. You got to print it. It's got to be somewhere on your garment. And the other thing is if you are on Amazon, then you'll, in order to get a brand store, you're going to need to show them that you have a trademark or have filed a trademark. So you got to have one.
Holly, any thoughts?
Oh, I do have a patent. My thought was if I was starting again now, I would not spend that money.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I thought it was really important in the beginning to protect my idea, because I thought it was very innovative. And I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to want this. But then when I got out and tried to produce it, everyone was like, what is this? So I don't think anyone else would have come at it the same way. So I'm happy that I have it,
Right.
but I don't know that it was necessary.
Okay. All right. So now I'd like to talk about marketing your products. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest in understanding how you go about it. So intimates, like every other brand, changing fast. How consumers are shopping is changing, what they care about, where they discover brands. So would like you to talk about what's working for you right now. So we'll start with you, Noah.
So I think from day one, it's been Instagram and Facebook in terms of organic and paid ads. That's just I would say how we get 75% of our new customers. Google, you got to be on Google. You can do a lot by putting in, search engine optimization terms and now AI terms. But really, like, that's where our customer is. I think you got to kind of figure out where your customer is and reach them where they are.
And are you doing all of your own ad creation? Or are you outsourcing it?
So no, I was doing that up until like a few months ago, and I realized if I wanted to scale the business, I couldn't be doing everything and creating the ads, so I just handed it over. But a lot of the assets and content they're using are photos I've taken, or I'm talking in videos. I know Jen has had some success with that, but I am still heavily involved in the content.
So you are the face, one of the faces of the brand. All right. Well, Holly, I know you are as well, and you have some fabulous sweaters in almost every video. So you knit them yourself. Of course you do. All right. So tell us about your strategy. Now you'll all have to go check out the sweaters. Okay.
So our strategy, since we don't have a lot to spend on ads, we're really trying to nail down getting our product as perfect as it can be. That's what we want to do right now. It's videos, or my daughter is doing meme posts, and we just try to get out there every day to reach the women that have similar problems to me. So that is working out well, and it's Instagram, it's TikTok. We need to focus on Facebook. I haven't spent a lot of energy there, but I know that's the goal this year. That's the big one. So.
When you gave out product as
Yes.
part of your, is there an audience for this? Do you think, is that something you're continuing to do? Like going to doctors' offices that are involved in pelvic floor health?
So we did do that initially. The problem with that is, since it's a medical office, you don't get a lot of feedback. Like, we tried to give an anonymous survey, but only a couple people filled it out. All that I could hear was like secondhand through the therapist, oh, they really like it. They're really excited, but I don't get any specifics. So now what we do is, on social media, we have enough following and we follow the right people. We find women that are openly speaking about health issues that we know that we help. And we talk to them and we say, we think maybe you could be more comfortable in our product. You want to try some? So we send them out to them, and they've been phenomenal.
And does it result in repeat purchase?
So we give it to them free. We give them enough if they love them, but they're so thankful that they not only give us the feedback that we're looking for about the design and all that, but they also have been posting for us. So yes, it has.
So it results in.
It does result in purchases.
So Jen, you mentioned when we first started talking that certain things were done with marketing, and then your partners in this business had ideas and really a lot of great experience on what was working. So can you kind of share, here's where we started and here's where we are now?
Yeah, so we started mainly with meta spend, but that really catches up with you. It's very expensive. Their cost of acquisition is just very high. And so, they kept saying to me, like, you need to get on more of the TikToks. You need it. And that's just, I don't know. In the industry, people are not usually like, we need to get the technical designer out there. Everybody wants to see a technical designer. So I feel like, it is my brand and I feel very strongly about it. So we started doing a lot more authentic marketing with, the face of the brand and talking about it more. And it's been very successful. Organic marketing is very successful.
So you being the face of the brand, you talking about what's the unique proposition?
Talking about the unique proposition, talking about why this is good for this segment. I'm a mother, I'm a runner, I'm, a businesswoman. So all of those, we all are, right? So talking about that, it's just the authenticity that people want to see is so important. Just reaching out to people that have similar beliefs and see if they want to talk about the product as well. And we've seen a lot of success with our organic and our ads that feature me and other people in the brand.
So I'd like to ask you on this topic. for each one of you, are you working from an omni-channel perspective, meaning selling to wholesale, or are you D2C focused only? And just what is your strategic idea about D2C, wholesale, one or the other, the whole ecosystem? Wherever you are right now, what is your thinking? So, Holly, we'll start with you.
D2C, definitely. I don't know where women would go for health-related garments, right? So we're very specific. So I don't know if, if I go to Nordstrom, I don't see like bras after mastectomies, right? So I wouldn't expect them to go there.
So your strategy is stay focused on
Definitely
D2C.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jen?
Yeah, we're D2C. We're in a couple of small boutiques on Long Island. And we are focused on D2C, but obviously you want to continue to grow your business. So you want to look at other channels. But when you are an innovative product or there's something unique about your product, when you can control that conversation, it's much easier to get the customer in versus just being on a peg somewhere in a store where no one's really explaining or talking about it.
Noah?
We are mostly D2C. We are in some boutiques. I mean, personally, I would love to be in a Nordstrom or a Saks. I don't think that that's where, we'd make the big bucks, but I think the awareness and our customer is definitely still shopping there. But we just don't have the woman power yet. So one day.
I think I would say that Hanky Panky was built through specialty stores. But of course, that was almost 50 years ago. But that's really who spread the brand awareness, brought the expertise, the boutique owners, and then department stores. And D2C was like the last frontier. But it's challenging, especially with department stores. The impact is massive. So you want the D2C, but those boutique owners can really make all the difference in getting your product. So, when margins permit, and it can really be steady if it's not necessarily just department stores. And really, I always thought we had a wonderful opportunity because that's where they started. That's what they cared about the most, the founders of Hanky Panky. So I think of it as a multi-legged stool. You had specialty, you had department stores, and you had D2C. So, but I know it's hard and it's not easy from a margin perspective and to find the right owners and to collect payment and all of that. So D2C can seem, if you can be your own content creator and make those different channels viable, it's a great way to go forward. All right. So let's talk about community and paying it forward. I think we've talked briefly about the importance of this community, the suppliers, the manufacturers, partnering with new brands. We never know who's going to have the next Spanx brand. I always think about that story of her beating down the door of a factory in North Carolina to get her product launched. But want to talk about who helped you get started, who helped you mentor, and how are you paying it forward? So let's talk about how did you get started?
So, I mean,
Mentoring.
I am lucky that I have my mom, who is, the boss of me in life, but together we are partners on this business. So she ran a successful software company, and after the exit, she was mentoring other brands on how to run, not brands, software companies, so slightly different, how to run a business. So, it's nice to have that partnership. And through our suppliers, we have met wonderful, wonderful people that have served as mentors and given us guidance on what we should launch next. And I am paying it forward. There's randomly a kids underwear brand in my town. And so I meet with her and I meet with another underwear brand, and I just try to share whatever mistakes I've made so they can skip those and get straight to the good stuff.
Holly?
So I have to say, when I was first starting, since I didn't know anybody, I got the most support from healthcare providers that were helping me. They were telling me, you're going to change women's lives. They hear about this problem every single day. But then the real mentors I've found since I met someone here last year who's really this year has given us so much knowledge. It's just a completely different vocabulary from what I'm used to in my life. And I think that that's going to help us do the best product that we can. And paying it forward, I would love to work with some young designers that are trying to solve a health problem or trying to do something that would fit with our brand, but we're not there yet.
Right, right. Right now, you've got to put on your own
We gotta-
oxygen
we're-
mask and
yes.
make sure that you can power through this and come out on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jen, you've been in this industry for a long time, so I'm sure there's been people that have helped you along the
Yes.
way. And
I've had some amazing mentors throughout my career that have really given me great advice, really great support, dried my tears. And I continue to appreciate them, and I still reach out to them. There's a lot of my peers that have been in similar situations, making career decisions, family decisions based on career decisions. And so I really appreciated them as well. I feel like there's so many people in this industry that I don't even know, but know somebody that I know that I feel confident I could reach out and ask for advice, and I would get really, really, honest feedback. Paying it forward, I've been very blessed that people have reached out to me and asked me how did you do this? What's your suggestion? I've had a friend at a basketball game with our daughters play basketball together, and she was like, I heard you started your brand. I have this idea. And this was about a year and a half ago. We just actually partnered with them on a collab, and I get chills thinking about it, but a week later, she actually sent me a screenshot that a big box store had asked her about having her product, and it has nothing to do with intimate apparel, but and a big box store had asked her about putting her bag in their store for a lacrosse brand. So it's really amazing. And I would love to be somebody that someone could reach out to and say, what do you think about this? What would you do? And, always try to give honest feedback, because I think we've experienced all the goods, the bads, the highs, and the lows. So sharing all of that information, I think, is really helpful to the new designers out there just starting out.
so the new designers not being afraid to ask, can I speak to you? Can I get some help from you?
Absolutely.
And then on the other side, being receptive with what we can and can't help with. I always remember I was with my first tour with HANKY PANKY as head of sales. I met with the CEO at the time of Spanx at the Paris show, having coffee, and she said, look, you're really scrappy, but here's what you need to work on, and go out and find the help to get it sorted. Because I think, and that stuck with me, and it made me make a lot of decisions because she was really honest and acknowledged the good, but here's what you need to work on. So I think it's a bit of both. All right, so let's talk about financing. Okay, so whatever you're comfortable with sharing, want to understand if you bootstrapped it, if you had investors, how are you looking at how do we proceed with profitability, et cetera. So Holly, we'll start with you.
Sure. So we're bootstrapped, and while that can be challenging because I'm spending my retirement, it also, I think, helps inform decisions. When you don't have unlimited budget, you have to really focus on what's important. And so for us, the important thing is getting the best product for the women that we serve. So that's what we need to do. So if I have to get on there every day and do a TikTok, I'm going to do it because that's free. So we'll spend on the fabric, on getting the right manufacturer, on getting the right patterns and the fitting and all of that. So bootstrapped. It's challenging, but it's also more comfortable because I would be nervous of someone coming in and saying, no, you can't do it that way. I don't.
So you want to control your own destiny. So you're going to control your costs, and you're going to do what you need to do to get the product out there.
Yes.
Even if it means knitting a new sweater so they don't get bored. Okay. All right, Noah.
We are bootstrapped. It's funny because, I run the day-to-day operations. I feel like it's always a little bit of a push and pull with my partner in terms of I'm definitely always trying to cut all the costs. Every single dollar we make goes back into the business. So, and I am in the numbers. So I am very, I try to keep it cost.
So your partner
Yes.
is pushing you to spend on marketing? Or what's happening?
Well, yes. So she comes, she has a software background where it's, they most companies are looking to get acquired, and they want to see you spend on marketing, grow at any cost for that acquisition. But I would like this to be a family business that we keep in the family that, pays for itself, that might be my son probably won't work in it, but maybe my daughter.
Never know. You never know.
He doesn't seem too interested at this point. But yeah, so it's just yes. Men like lace underwear too. That is something I am learning. But yeah, it's just we both have different. She comes from a world of you got to show the investors this, and I'm like I got to show myself this, and I want
good balance.
Yeah, exactly. It works. It works.
Great. Jen, once again, the pariah on this panel. Talk about you had a nice Series A fundraising. So
Yes.
how are you approaching, or how do you work with the financing?
It's interesting because when we first started, it was bootstrapped with myself and my co-founders. And then when we had the Series A, things change. But like you said, you're still looking at the numbers and still with a business mind. And so it's a push and pull because you're seeing acquisition, requests. So you spend, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, we don't want to spend too much because we still need to buy more product. And so it's been very interesting since the Series A because you're definitely pushing and pulling. You're definitely wanting to make sure that you're profitable. We've hired more people. We've, expanded. So, it's been quite a challenge and an interesting challenge to be in those meetings when you hear numbers change, from when we started to where we are now. So, I mean, I feel very blessed that we have the Series A as well, but like you have to keep, now you have
to
people
prove
that
it.
You have to prove to.
Yeah.
So
You have to give them everything they
Yes.
need for that money.
Yes,
Right.
you almost have to. I think the ideal situation is to have the Series A, but still kind of work a little bit like you're a bootstrap company. Otherwise,
Right.
it could really explode. So
So some of the things that you'd need to control are still marketing spend.
marketing
right?
spend. I mean,
What about
you can-
SKU count?
Can spend money to make money, but I don't necessarily think that that's going to. You want the customers to come back, so you really need to focus on the lifetime. How many times are they going to come back? So you can get all these new customers, but you have to make sure that they continue to buy. And how do you acquire that repeat customer? So it's just spending to spend is not always going to show what at your bottom line.
Quick question before our final question is pride beyond revenue. So would like you to each tell me what is something outside of your sales that you're really proud about for your individual businesses. So Noah?
I'm really proud that when I meet people or like talk to our customers, first I'm happy that they love the product, but I'm proud that they think that we're a company of 100 people or even 10 people. So nothing makes me happier than like them being like, oh, it's all mostly you. I'm like, well, okay. But we're still, sometimes
Smoke and
I'm
mirrors.
customer
Smoke and-
care. So yes, exactly. Fake it till you make it.
Holly?
Okay, I'm definitely proud of reaching women across the internet that feel like they're alone. So someone will come across one of my videos, all of a sudden we notice they watch every single one and they like every single one and they message us. They say they're crying. I'm sorry, I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah.
Because women don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that when Hanky Panky launched their leak-proof underwear, I could not believe the comfort level women, when I would talk about how well it's performing, all of a sudden, all these conversations started. And these were women that were close in my life. I had no idea. Just sneezing, trampolines, weightlifting, you name it, the shame and the frustration and the aloneness. So,
It shouldn't be that way.
right. Jen.
So as a technical designer background, I'm very proud of the fit feedback that we get. I think probably once a week, I kind of stand up and I'm like, is this somebody's aunt that that's did this? Like, is this a real person? Because she just basically like remarketed the product in a different way. So I'm very proud of that. And then on a different area, I am a mom of 3 teenage daughters, and I think I get emotional about that too. I think it's very important for my daughters to see me go into the office every day and work really, really hard, and for a brand that I'm part of and that I'm part owner of. And so every day I do it for them. I do it for myself and for the pride that I have in what I believe in and what I do every day. So
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to assume that there's somebody, at least in this room, that's got an idea that's in their head or they've sketched it out and they don't know where to start. And I'd love for each of you to give a piece of advice to that person. Just remember when, if you could go back to your founding days, what would you tell that person? So, Noah?
Okay, they had really good emotional responses for what they're proud about. So can I just
go
add
ahead and
one?
cry.
I am proud when we do hear from like 80 and 90-year-old women that thought the lingerie market forgot about them, and they're so happy we were around. Okay, now back.
Okay, that's great.
I would say know your strengths and know your weaknesses. It's great if you can have not even a partner or a mentor or someone by your side who complements your strengths and your weaknesses. Like, my mom and I am, a little more softer. She's a strong force.
Agreed.
So it's really nice to not feel like you're doing it alone. So that person doesn't need to work with you, but they can just be your touch point.
Jen?
I would say if you have an idea, you feel strongly about it, do it, reach out to people. If you have imposter syndrome, like so many of us do, reach out to someone that not only has the experience, but is going to be your cheerleader and say, just go out there and do it. Just try it. Yeah, contact that person. Yeah, why not do it? You really need a cheerleader. But especially like Noah said, I was the creative and the technical force. You need a business. You need the person that's going to tell you how to do the business end. You can't do all of it. You just don't even have the time to do all of it. And so you're going to make mistakes. So the more you can get the support in the areas of your weaknesses, the better that your all-around business is going to have and be.
Holly?
Okay, so I'll agree with that. It's good to have a partner. I have my daughter who has a business finance master's. So those are skills that I did not have. She also has the social media skills that I did not have at my age. So that's been great.
But can she sew?
Yes. Ish.
Wow.
Ish. But if you have an idea that you're trying to figure out, especially if it's a specialized one, I guess if I could have started over, I would have gone more on social media to find those women in the beginning to say, what are your pain points? Like I only had myself as a reference and speaking to my healthcare providers, but I've learned a lot from the community that I'm reaching. So I would say do that and then make sure you're going to serve as many of those people as you can.
Do we have time for questions? Yes, we do. All right. Well, we'd like to open it up if the audience has any questions. Janet?
I guess this is more for Jen, since while it is a family business for you, you have other people around you, and you do have a Series A that you've done. Are you looking to have somebody acquire your brand at the end of the day?
I think that's always a goal. I don't think we're looking in a 12 months or 18 month, but the Series A is helpful. You need to continue to have the funds to continue to grow. So acquiring is always on the docket. I don't know when, but it's something that we would be interested in. Are you interested?
No, I'm not interested in acquiring anybody else's brand. But I guess a question to that point, which you answered beautifully for me. So traditional brands originally, they had some money, they created a brand and put money back into the brand. Now it's create a brand, raise funds, keep raising funds because for whatever reason, you need that and you're not generating the income to be putting back in. Why is that?
So I think one thing that's very helpful for my brand is that we do have a sister or brother brand that has been around for over 10, 15 years. And so they've seen the gamut of getting more investors, putting too much money into this. So we have the experience of knowing that you can grow your business. You're not going to grow it as fast. So you have options. You can grow your business very quickly. You can see the gross sales, but the net profit you're not going to have. So is that what you want? So then you need to get as much money as possible to get those ad sales out and to sell a ton of product to be acquired. But, you can also have a viable business that you can, HANKY PANKY had a viable business for years and they weren't constantly asking for more money. But you have to be smart and you have to be organic. You can't just, think that you're going to grow a whole business on meta sales. Like, it's just not going to happen. So how are you getting out there? I think it's a great time in the industry now because of D2C. You could grow a business and really, own your own, but it's very expensive. So, there's not as many boutiques. All of us would love to be in boutiques. We would love to be in the department stores, but department stores and boutiques have to decide, like, do they want to put the effort into a brand that they don't really know? And that, so I think there's a lot of partnerships that maybe could happen in the future with, we're able to market our product. So if a boutique or a department store would take a chance on a small brand, at least they know if someone Google's HUUG.com, that customer will know, like, what is this? What is, instead of just the peg or the bra, with the hang tag, they'll actually get to see what the brand's about. So I think there's huge opportunities for small brands to be in boutiques and department stores, that's really what everybody wants, right? Like, all of your stores, you want to have unique product in them, and you want to have a story and an authentic story about the product that you're selling.
That has a solution.
Yes, exactly.
And then once brands seem to get acquired, think True Love, think Parade and whatever, they're bought to be taken out of the
I know.
out of Play Lively,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. And I think it's different. I mean, like, I feel like we started the business with a intimate apparel background, which I think was helpful because we really, I've always said, like, we started with product first. A lot of brands are marketing first. I think all the women on this panel, we started with product first and tried to figure out how do we market this, because we know it's fabulous. So a lot of brands out there that are actually getting more traction in department stores and boutiques are more marketing first. And then when someone gets the product, especially someone, that's familiar with intimate apparel, it might not be the best product, but they have the marketing or the, people to back it. So it is a frustrating circle.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Peter.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thanks, Peter.
Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for sharing your story. I guess I'm curious about what it's like, how it feels. You're pushing this boulder uphill for years, and suddenly you go live, and there's a response, whether it's positive or negative. What is that moment like? Are you freaking out? Are you excited? What is that moment like after all that?
Polly?
Sure, I'll go because we just launched last year. So it's really exciting, especially if you have people close to you, like in your family, that don't actually believe in what you're doing. They're like, "What are you doing? This is crazy. No one's going to buy this." So it's so exciting. It just feels great. Yeah.
Noah?
I think the first rush was when random people that weren't my friends or family started buying. I was like, I don't know this name. So that was very exciting. I want to say it was probably like a year after we launched a new style of slip shorts, and those sold out in like very quick amount of time. And I was very excited, but then you start to panic, because there's a lead time, and you need the lace, and you need it to be dyed. So get it once you've hit that, it's like, oh no, now I need to make sure I have enough inventory to stay in stock for all these customers I am paying.
You
to
are
acquire.
disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah. Jen?
First, I would say Peter is one. I would call him somebody that I've known in this industry for years. And when I was in my early 20s and had no idea what I was doing, he always treated me like I was a vet. So I appreciate people like Peter, Tyler, all of these guys, JP especially. Shout out to all those guys that always.
I also
treated
appreciate Peter.
all the young designers like they deserved a spot, and I think that's really important in this industry. I still, I have anxiety, so I still every day, my partners are like, "What are you nervous about today?" I'm like, "Well, but now I see that this color's selling, and that is not how I bought that color. So we need to do, And they're like, just enjoy it. So there's moments where you really just need to enjoy it and like pinch yourself and think, "I can't believe we're doing this," and then you got to go back.
And then other days you have to keep
Figure out
pushing
inventory
that
control.
boulder up the hill.
Exactly.
Yes, back to pushing it up. All right. Time's up. Yes. Okay. Do you want one more question?
Thanks. First off, everything you said has been so incredible, and you're all been like so inspiring. I'm a young designer that's just trying to navigate my way into starting my own brand. So like, I'm curious as to how do I find investors, and like how do I pitch myself in order to get them to be willing to invest in my brand.
I'll give it to you with the series.
Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a little bit more luck because I had already had a reputation and been in the industry for years. But I would say reach out to everybody in here and say, I have a brand, give me your card, and just keep talking to people. You never know if maybe it's a partnership that you start with, or that's someone that's like, I'll help you with that. Yeah, let's do it, And it just takes one person to say, I'll help you. I'll figure this out with you. You just never know, but don't give up and keep trying.
And if all else fails, go talk to Peter.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Or
hearing.
Those 3 guys
Yeah.
that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Or these women in the front row.
That's right. But it is probably about being bold and, reaching out and not being afraid, whether someone says no or not, just saying who you are, what you're trying to do. And I think these women are a testament that this industry really does come alongside you and are willing to help. And there's more people in this industry that are willing to do that than are not willing to do it. All right. So I would just say that the future of intimates belongs to founders who listen deeply, design bravely, and collaborate boldly. And the supply chain that supports them will shape the next decade of this industry. So thank you all for attending.